Hey listeners, you're listening to the Midnight Readers podcast. Grab some tea, a midnight snack, and cuddle up in bed as we dive deep into today's most popular fantasies, sci-fi, and mysteries. We're your hosts. I'm Lily.
I'm Brittany.
And I'm Christy.
This season, we'll be discussing a dark academia bully romance series known for its smutty content, billed as a Harry Potter for adults, and touted by many on Book Talk and Bookstagram as an ACOTAR hangover remedy. That's right, we're headed to Solaria.
Welcome to Zodiac Academy. Note to students, vampire bites, loss of limbs, or getting lost in the Wailing Woods will not count as a valid excuse for being late to class or this podcast.
In today's episode, we're going to be discussing Book 2, Ruthless Fae, chapters 26 through 37, where the heirs pay back a pittance of the humiliation they owe, but it's short-lived when the nymphs attack and the girls prove their worth for the throne.
Before we get into it, we want to give you a content warning. From this point forward, there will be spoilers, major spoilers. This includes potentially all Zodiac Academy World books, including the Ruthless Boys and Darkmoor Penitentiary series. We are also avid fans of the Moss Universe, Fourth Wing, and other popular romantasy book series. We might accidentally let spoilers slip, so sorry in advance. Like the books, this podcast is rated R, so there is going to be a lot of smut. Also language, so be warned.
Also, a friendly reminder to please like, subscribe, and follow. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Last we saw our girls, everyone was leaving the most boring party ever and heading back to the academy. The next day is the first pitball match of the season. Darcy wakes up at the butt crack of dawn after many dreams of Lance and heads to the stadium for some mischief. And she got help.
So Geraldine is there, and the first thing she thinks to do is rub that terrible griffin shit right on the crotch.
The glitter.
Huh?
Yeah, Geraldine has her own.
Yeah, Geraldine rubs the glitter on Caleb's crotch, and then they rub the
glitter?
Yeah, they rub griffin shit all over Max's uniform.
Oh, no, I remember that. But is she not the one that rubs the shit on Max's crotch?
No, she does Caleb's crotch so that it fits his whole Pegasus fetish.
Right. Oh, I remember later.
Yeah, she glitters him up like crazy.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I think is it both? It's Darcy and Tori that do the...
Yeah, Darcy and Tori do the griffin poo.
The poo on the crotch is actually so evil.
Yeah, I mean, it's all over.
Yeah.
And yeah. It is very evil.
But is it?
Yes, I have to say. Reading later where they're experiencing all of this setup that the girls are doing right now.
The burning pain.
I feel bad for Max. I know I shouldn't in the long run, but I just know that was the worst fucking experience.
You know.
I know that was the worst experience.
That, it's funny you say that. Because I was like, is that it?
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
I don't know. It was pretty bad.
I was upset at first because it sounded like that he was going to be able to like wash it off and be okay. So at first I was like, are you kidding me? Like, that's it? You know? But yeah.
Yeah, no, it requires a special potion in order to get it off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was surprised he didn't withdraw from the match, honestly.
Me as well, actually. I'm such a baby. I'd be out in an instant.
Yeah, but I got the feeling with him, the parents would be upset. And he's the one also that's stepmom is hoping he's going to be taken out.
Yeah.
Okay, but his drive to piss her off is the most relatable part of this book. If you have a shitty parent, then you know you will go to that link.
All right. So after they cause some mischief, they go to the orb for pastries and coffee. When they get a ping on their atlas, Zodiac Academy has been mentioned in the Celestial Times, an article by Mr. Pecker himself about the return of the lost heirs. And it's completely full of lies. I guess there's no accountability for the facts, no libel suits in Solaria, because damn.
I knew he'd be back, but I'm gonna be honest, I was not that impressed. You know, I mean, you could lie about anyone. I didn't think it was that bad, if I'm being honest. Like, I was just like, okay, this guy is full of shit. I feel like it's not even that big of a deal, to be honest.
Yeah, I was the same way. I felt like they again, the writers, I felt like, took the easy way out because they could have made it to where it was just believable enough to cause them trouble, but instead they're well known for being liars. So why would they really care?
Exactly.
What do you mean they're well known for being liars?
That's how they intro him. Like that they don't have to speak the truth. They don't have to, because there's no consequences. They don't have to have any proof. They don't have to have any information, nothing. So,
but at the same time,
journalists?
They're like the National Enquirer.
Well, I mean, like at the same time, it's, we as real people know that the Onion is fake, but
The Onion.
This is a newspaper that is presenting it as fact, and people read shit on Facebook all the time and believe it like that.
Because they want to.
That's true. The boomers out there are getting on Facebook and reading shit and being like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening in our world.
They are, but they're the first ones to be like, fake news, when it's not something they want to read from the same source.
True.
Oh yeah, so there are people out there in this world who don't know Darcy and Tori who are going to read this, and especially if they're supporters of the heirs, and they're going to believe it wholeheartedly. Just like the royalists will not believe it even if it's actually true. So
I get that that's how it's supposed to be read, but even so, it falls flat. I don't know.
It was a little too much.
Yeah.
It was a little over the top. I feel like if it had been a little kind of used a little more truth with it, then perhaps, but they just made it so ridiculous that it was funny.
But you know the truth. Other people don't.
They really do, though. But it's, I mean,
They think
again,
that the Savage King is crazy. Why not his daughters?
yes, but a 5-year-old could write that out for him and they would be like, what? If you want to believe something, you're going to believe it. But as a reader, it was so over the edge that I didn't take offense to it. I didn't feel any anger. If they had kept it a little closer to the truth, then I think I would have been angry.
It is an article that is literally supposed to damage their reputation.
Mm-hmm.
So it accomplished its goals.
Although I will say it was kind of funny about Darcy talking to ravens. I don't know why, but that was making me laugh later on.
To the imaginary ravens.
Yeah, it's just so ridiculous. It's hard not to laugh.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, this will come up later.
I hope she does. I hope she talks to ravens. Kill them! Kill them all!
I don't know if she talks to ravens, but yeah.
Talks to somebody.
You know how y'all were like, they gave up the fears and they should have held on to that and brought it up later in the first book?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
This will come up later.
Okay, interesting.
Maybe I'm tired. I don't see how that fits at all. Like, my brain's trying to work it out, and it's like, nope.
I don't see how it's going to work out, but I'm interested.
Right.
And then they also say Tori has a sex addiction, and she kind of makes it work for her.
She does, though Darcy does kind of notice that it is getting to her a little bit, but
Yeah.
so the article says that Tori has a sex addiction, she drinks too much, Darcy's mentally addled. It also implies that the twins only came back for the money and the throne and that they're greedy by taking the Vega last name. At least that's how I read it. And of course, Geraldine is outraged that this was written. And she's like, I will have it retracted as soon as possible. And twins, they're like, meh. Although I love that Tori's like, did you say that to me or was it the raven on my shoulder to Darcy? They were teasing each other about it.
Oh, yeah, they were teasing each other about it.
So Gus goes on their enemy list, and sadly, he will be around. Tori sneaks back into Ignis' house and leaves a present under Milton Hubert's door, then showers and heads to the common room for the fallout.
Oh, yeah. What does she leave at his door? It's one of the notes that bursts into flames.
It's a ring from Darius's room, a very distinctive ring, with a love note with a Mission Impossible spell on it. So as soon as you open it, it burns, or after 2 minutes.
Yeah. And then how bold to leave that ring in there and then he actually wears it later. How stupid can you get?
I know, right? Like, okay, so Darius freaks out about this ring. But if you remember when they first burned down his room, Darius was with Milton as the room was burning. So why doesn't he remember being with Milton? It doesn't add up. And I'm just like, Darius, think things through.
But that's his downfall. That's Darius's downfall, is his anger.
Yeah, very much so. He doesn't think things through. And he later even says that Milton was one of his most loyal followers, never had an inkling of betrayal thoughts from him, and yet he did this, supposedly.
But I think in that world, though, you've probably got a lot of betrayal. I mean, it's like everybody clawing their way up.
That's true. That is very true.
That's fair, but Milton?
The unibrow piece of meat.
But Milton?
I have a question for our coffee drinkers in the room.
Yes, ma'am.
Is flat white a thing?
Yeah, I think it's more common in Australia. It's really not that common here.
Okay, I was like, what the
If it
hell?
makes you feel better, I didn't know what that was either.
There was a minute there where it was a menu item on Starbucks, which I hope everyone here is boycotting Starbucks right now, okay? But as a general rule, it's not a commonly ordered drink in the US.
What is it?
I don't know. It's one of those, ratio drinks that I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's like getting a cappuccino or a macchiato or whatever.
I just assumed it was the British equivalent of black.
No.
Nope.
It consists of
a lot of milk.
espresso and steamed milk. It generally has a higher proportion of espresso to milk than a cafe latte. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
I like a flat white. You guys know that I drink my coffee typically black, but I thought it was funny that she basically was like,
It's the most
let me guess,
boring.
something bland.
Yeah. It's the most boring drink out there.
Yeah.
Marguerite here being desperate again, also.
Oh yeah, she's getting annoying.
Why yell at Tori for Darius looking at her? It's not like Tori's like, come look at me, Darius. I'm flirting. Get over yourself.
Oh my gosh.
And then there's the notice that Tori finds about the flea dip. All werewolves have to take a flea dip.
Yeah.
That made me laugh.
Okay, I have a question about that. So, if all of the well, I guess I'm assuming that a lot of the werewolves now have fleas, but if the werewolves all have fleas, then why don't they just all touch each other? Because if you already have fleas.
I think it's more of a precaution because they are so contagious that
yeah.
everybody needs to kill them off before you get them, just in case.
Yeah.
But didn't they shun him?
Yes.
Right when they realized, so it
Yeah.
shouldn't have spread.
It shouldn't have. But again, it's like lice.
Yeah.
Like when you lay your head on a pillow, you might leave it there. And then if somebody comes and lays on that pillow afterward, you spread it.
Yeah.
But yes, I do love that they are all shunning Seth because they don't want fleas. And he's all alone. Poor baby.
Poor Seth. I'm glad he's itchy.
Yeah. So Darius goes and searches Milton's room after seeing the ring and asks him about the watch. And finally, the gold that Tori planted in his room comes to fruition as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Darius ends up so mad that he shuns Milton.
So, quick question, Lily.
Yeah.
Would you be okay with Seth having crotch fleas?
It's a good question. And yes, I think yes. I mean, at this point, doesn't he already?
We should, but
The fleas are all over.
it just doesn't give us the description of that particular.
Although there is a scene where he's scratching his ass, and Orion is like, you've literally almost stuck your hand up your ass.
Yeah! Oh my god!
Oh my gosh, but that...
Sorry, I didn't mean to derail us. I just was curious if it was the same as Max.
I do like Max a smidge more because I feel like he has some humanity, and so in some ways I do feel worse about him having... As if you've ever had an allergic reaction, I mean, you know how fucking awful they can be, so the fact that he's just sitting there in that shit... And it's just getting worse and worse. And he's like, it's fine. I'll keep playing. I'm like, oh my God, how are you doing this? And I don't know. Just the thought of it is awful. I can barely stand like a moment of skin irritation. Maybe that's just me, but it sounded awful.
What did y'all think about the shunning of Milton?
Yay.
Oh, okay. I have to say something about this actually.
Okay.
I think this is interesting because at first I was kind of like bummed that I felt like Darius wasn't getting the comeuppance that he deserved because he was just angry, right? But if you think about it in terms of losing Milton, I think that is where the revenge comes in for Darius, because what the girls have done without maybe realizing it wholeheartedly is that they're breaking apart his support network, which is actually pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
If you consider it. Now, does he deserve it? Absolutely. But the fact that they're actually actively going after his security, I think, is what surprising about that.
Okay, so Caleb loses his reputation. Seth loses his pack. Max loses this game in front of his father. And Darius loses his faith in his followers. So he's like, if Milton can betray me, who else?
Right. Very nicely done, honestly.
I know, right?
It doesn't seem like it's as impactful, maybe as nearly drowning, but it's like playing the long game.
Yeah.
Well, they have to. They don't have the power to match them power for power right now. Although after the end of the book, maybe. But yeah, so they're using the power that they have, which is unfortunately for the heirs, a power that they've never actually had to use.
Yeah. And it also punishes Milton a little bit for passing those naked photos along as well.
Yep, that's just a bonus.
And so, like, the shunning here, where Darius is like, okay, if you are a supporter of me, Milton no longer exists. So they don't even acknowledge his existence anymore. It's like...
Which is also a call out for, like, how fucked up Darius's power can be.
Yeah, although the royalists, since they don't follow Darius, they could still acknowledge him, but, I mean...
Right.
Milton.
Do you think that the twins are going to try and grab him as a supporter?
Ew, I hope not.
Okay, but maybe he could be an asset. I don't know.
Milton says whenever Darius confronts him, he's like, I love you, man.
yeah.
So he's like a really big Darius supporter.
Yeah, but will he be now?
And now I'm sure he feels betrayed.
Yeah.
Wait. Brittany knows.
Brittany does
Brittany
know.
knows.
All right, so the twins head to the pitball stadium with Diego and Sophia. Darcy is anticipating what is about to happen. She's wondering how long will it take for Max to withdraw. And going back to what we were just saying, I personally think these girls hit it on the head with these punishments.
Absolutely.
Now, I know I keep harping on this, but football pitch. If you're an American, it's a football field. Sorry.
Yeah. They said soccer, right?
No, they said football pitch.
Oh, okay. Maybe I was thinking, are they saying soccer when I was reading it?
And that's the thing. I also thought, I was like, is it football American? Is it soccer? What's going on? The other thing that also frustrated me, and this could be because I'm old, but
Seriously.
what does lose the plot mean?
I also was wondering that.
So I think lose a plot is like when if you've got something you're supposed to be doing and then you forget and you kind of wander off and do something else, you've lost the plot, like you've lost your direction, kind of thing.
So my life.
But they kind of overuse it a little bit.
They do overuse it. It's the ADHD life.
Interesting. I've never heard that before.
Me neither.
Well, maybe it's a really old person thing.
No. Oh my God.
Principal Nova shows up and tells the girls that they have pit-side seats reserved for them and the celestial counselors. Tori declines, but Darcy was like, no, we want to stay with our friends. And Nova tells them to bring them with.
I was surprised they let them come.
I'm not surprised by Nova doing this, but I am surprised that the counselors were like, fine.
Did they have the extra seats in there? Like, that seems odd. You would think they would be filled.
I don't know. I mean, Lionel brought his butler, so...
Was he sitting down, though?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. That's true.
He was buttling.
He was buttling.
It's like Clue.
Oh my God.
It was the butler in the ringside seats with the candlestick. If only.
It's a good movie.
And, like, all the parents seem super excited for their kids, except, of course, for Lionel and Catalina.
Of course.
Makes me feel a little bit for Darius.
I don't know why, but I didn't expect Lionel to be there.
Well, I mean...
It's probably a visual thing, right?
Yeah, he does like the world to think that he's the best father ever.
Yeah.
I know.
I think in my brain, Lionel is this big baddie that you're not supposed to see except on occasion. You know what I mean? Like, he is the villain.
Yeah.
I just didn't expect to see him there, I think, because usually the villain is harder to see that often. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they only get a glimpse of him, and he's completely, aloof. The other heirs, moms and dads, are more excited for Darius than his own parents.
Yeah.
All right, so the cheerleaders include...
I forgot Kylie was a cheerleader, by the way.
Of course.
How?
I forgot.
I don't know.
The cheerleaders include Kylie, Jillian, and Marguerite.
Not the barf sound.
But yeah, no. When they said that they were cheerleaders, I was like, of course. Of course.
Yeah, but
I would like to see their routine, though.
same. Because if it's involving magic and stuff, imagine how cool that is.
No, right? So let's talk about the game for a second. And I mean just the game, not the match.
Yeah.
The Zodiac team includes the 4 heirs, Geraldine, Damien Evergile, Ashanti LaRue, Justin Masters, and someone named Badgerville and Jones. Normally Milton Hubert plays, but Darius kicked him off the team. There's 2 pit keepers and 1 person representing each element on defense and offense. There's 4 types of balls. The earth ball is super heavy, the water ball is icy, the fire ball is super hot, and the air ball is super light. 5 minutes per round, 2 halves, 1 hour per half. Orion's the coach, Professor Prestos is the referee, and it's kind of violent.
Yeah, kind of is an understatement. It's also just what the fuck is going on at any of that. I was trying to follow the game and I was like, okay, this makes absolutely no sense, but I'm just gonna vibe. I'm just gonna keep reading.
Yeah, I was the same way. It just felt like a whole lot of shit thrown together.
I'll be honest, I've watched soccer, but I'm not 100% all into the rules. I don't know lacrosse or really any other game other than football and baseball. But it reminded me a lot of football, which surprised me since British authors, because of the fact that there is a defense team and an offense team, and you have 2 pit keepers, which I kind of was like, oh, well, that's kind of like the kicker and the quarterback. They're separate from those 2 teams, and the fact that, you know, there's halves and then there's a halftime show in the middle, although we don't get to see that here. So it reminded me a lot of football. And I was just like, you're British.
I got the feeling we were supposed to be reminded of football. That's what they were intending. But it also reminded me a little bit of Quidditch. I think because there was the so-called keepers and there's all the balls.
I was just about to say that too. I was like,
well, it sounds like it's the British version of what they would think football would be.
Because they all think it's so violent.
Yeah. There's also
but there's a lot of soccer in it too.
It did remind me a lot of like wrestling in there too.
Oh yeah, because if they hold somebody down for a certain amount of time, then they're out.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the whole punching people, breaking their back.
I don't know anything about rugby. Could it be similar to rugby too?
Yeah, I don't know anything about rugby either.
We need a rugby expert.
I don't know. I feel like there's still more rules than all of those others. Like this one is just
free for all.
It's like a fuck it game. Whatever you can get away with.
It is whatever you can get away with, but there's also
unless you're scratching your ass, and then apparently that's.
There's also the fact that if you drop the ball,
it explodes.
Well, if you drop the ball, it's a -5 points. But if the ball hasn't been pitted by the end of the 5 minutes, then it explodes.
Which is actually really funny.
And I love that Seth is the one that had it explode on.
So, quick question. In scoring, because they're like in the negatives. They're both in the negatives at one point.
Like bowling.
Right. Well, I don't know. I said
you
right,
can
but
get
I have
negatives
no
in bowling?
Or wait, is it bowling? I don't know. I love that we're commentating on this as if we know fucking anything about sports. Brittany is the only one of us that knows anything.
But say you've got, like at the end, somebody has -3 and somebody has -5. Does the -3 win even though they've actually got less than 0?
I think so.
How do you win?
Well, I mean, you technically have
lost less.
You have more points that you don't have to make up. I guess I don't know. But I would think, I don't think that's ever happened, or at least that they haven't mentioned in the book, but I would think that if it was -3 to -5, the -3 team would win.
It just does not compute.
Does not compute. Anyways.
So even though they both hate the heirs, the twins still want the team to win. When the game starts, the twins are shocked by how brutal it is. Max is agitated, rubbing his body. Seth keeps scratching. Caleb is rubbing his crotch, which is glittering for all to see. And Darius is fuming. The match is pretty even though the heirs keep screwing up. And that is some serious statement on how
outmatched it normally is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Can I just say that Bryce would fucking love Caleb?
Oh, man.
You think so?
Well, glittery, yes.
Obviously.
Oh my gosh.
That's so funny.
So what did y'all think about Quentin? the Starlight teams.
Yeah,
yeah.
I liked him. Probably because
Yeah,
he pissed
he's
him
fun.
off, but yeah, I liked him because he pissed Darius off.
Oh, same. Absolutely.
But yeah, so they do go back and forth between knocking a player out and the other team scoring. And so it's like literally 0-0 for a good part of this game. And then you have Max, where his shorts bunch up and the pain in his balls is so intense he doubles over.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got to Max's point of view, and it's just the round ball came out of the air hole. I don't know why.
Oh my god.
This round, the ball came out of the air hole. Seth's hole? He is the air.
Okay, but when we were reading them, I was laughing because of that.
Yeah, and so he does flood himself with water, and he's like, now it looks like I pissed myself.
He's like, but I don't even care
Yeah.
because it's kind of helping.
And for the first time in his career, he is called out.
Boo, Max.
Which stepmama is kind of pleased about.
Yeah, and noticeably, his dad is kind of concerned.
I will say, out of all the parents, Max's dad is probably my favorite.
Yeah, he seems to be the nicest.
Does he end up good?
I wish I could see her face.
Do I think any of the parents will end up good?
Yeah, I mean,
Let's see.
they're all supposed to be kind of evil, right? But he seems okay.
As far as like a parent, though, he's my favorite.
Yeah.
I mean, Antonia, no, actually, I just remembered something. I don't like her as a parent. And no, I will take that. Melinda Altair is actually a pretty decent parent, too.
That's Caleb's mom.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Caleb seems to be the most decent of the four so far.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why. Okay, back to Max's life being ruined.
Well, not only Max's, but the heirs are all completely falling apart. And as Max is called out above the Starlight crowd, they start floating a Pegasus sex doll in the stands.
Dude, I laughed out loud.
Which tells you how far Tyler's video reached.
That shit is so good.
Oh, yes.
And then I swear to God, in the book, there's a line that's like, with a gaping asshole.
Yes. Well, there's an arrow pointing to his gaping asshole.
Oh my God. Terrible.
It is, but it's awesome. Also.
Yeah.
And of course, Orion is like, what the hell is happening?
Orion's like, the world is collapsing around us.
Poor Orion, he really cares about this game.
Yeah.
I mean, the heirs do too. But yeah, this is not really a spoiler, but I don't know if they've mentioned it yet, but Orion used to be the captain of his pitball team. That was his dream that was failed.
Yeah, I think it kind of, there's like a glimpse of that somewhere in this section of the book where he talks about that.
Yeah.
Very briefly.
He was supposed to go professional, but then the whole becoming Darius's guardian and can't be away from him prevented that.
Yeah, poor Orion.
Poor Orion. So the floating Pegasus sex doll causes Caleb to fumble the ball, and for the first time ever, the heirs actually drop the ball.
Which is awesome. And I just have to say that the Pegasus thing is so funny. In retrospect, when you're reading the book, there is a little moment where I'm like, okay, this is kind of fucked up if you're a Pegasus,
Yeah.
in a way. But at the same time, it is just funny enough that you can kind of forgive it, I guess.
And the Pegasus are actually
They're in
helping
on it.
him, so...
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what makes it okay.
So Washer approaches Nova during the match and tells her that the cards gave him a vision. And Nova lets the other principal goad her into brushing him off. She tells Washer that no other predictions like that were made and that he wasn't very accurate anyway. And honestly, considering what happened, I feel like both principals should lose their job. That's like receiving a bomb threat and ignoring it. And then a bomb exploding.
Well, I get why she would not consider it a bomb threat if there had been boy calling wolf kind of situation before, but I feel like this is serious enough that you should consider it more than she did.
Oh yeah, when I was at school, we had a bomb threat every Tuesday for 1 year. Every Tuesday, we would have to evacuate the school and go sit in the middle school or the football stadium. And they knew after the first time that it was a dud, but they had to evacuate us every time because
Just in case.
safety was a concern. But yeah, and it's just in case.
And yet, Principal Nova does not give a fuck about that. She's like, whatever, I know you're washed up. And I'm not going to listen to you.
But it's also more like she's so concerned about the game and doesn't care of her students. And
I feel
personally,
like that's the world.
Yeah.
Everybody's expendable.
well, the heirs aren't expendable though, and her students are the most elite fae in all of their world. So for her to ignore a security risk,
But aren't they expendable? Because even you had said that they weren't the only ones in line, that they had others behind them if something happens to them.
they do. But for now, they are considered, the heirs. And not only that, but Melinda Altair loves her son, whether or not he's heir. Max Reigel's dad, Tiberius, loves his son. Linda Rigel, she could care less. And at this point, for Lionel, Darius is his only heir.
Oh,
At least that's what he considers his only heir.
poor Xavier.
And they left him. The council was so luckily gone.
Yeah,
before it all
they
happened.
did have a good timing in leaving.
Was it good timing?
Was it?
I was thinking that as well.
Yeah.
I was like, how funny that Lionel just left.
Because I could see Lionel killing Darius because I feel like he thinks he's going to be a threat.
But he needs another heir first.
He can make another one.
That is true. He could make another one, but Lionel will not endanger his heir until he has another one. That's his mindset. If the possibility of Xavier being a dragon and being very powerful were still a possibility, then Darius wouldn't matter so much. But he sees Darius as his legacy. So until or if there is another heir, Darius is safe. Yeah, from Lionel at least. All right. So Darius breaks another player's back in this game, and Tori thinks it's hot. I'm sorry, but no, that sort of violence is not hot. There's the whole touch her and die violence and the protective violence that can be hot. But this is ragey, angry violence, and I disapprove. I'm just going to say that.
Breaking that guy's back was fucked up.
Well, I thought that her thinking it was hot was not right. Like,
Yeah.
that's not the kind of violence that is hot. The protective violence, that's hot.
Yeah, that's a little toxic of her. Yikes. I don't know. I don't really think that's very hot.
No.
Yeah.
No. All right. It's halftime. The team looks defeated. Caleb was chased out of the pitch by Pegasus Chance. Max is lumpy and purple. Seth keeps scratching his ass and everywhere else. Geraldine is the only player working her ass off, playing offense when she's actually defense. And Orion's like, this match should have been easy. And he's confused and pissed off and he doesn't understand what's going on.
Yeah, and he gives them each a dressing down, kind of. What the fuck are you doing? Get your shit together. If you need to go to the infirmary, get your ass to the infirmary or get back in the game. Fucking figure your shit out.
Yeah. And of course, he's like, I'm rougher with Seth because of what he did to Darcy.
Oh yeah, I was living for that. I was like, fuck yeah. Just admit you love each other.
I know,
Just
right?
Fucking admit it.
And then, of course, she's like, Professor Orion. I can't
Oh my God.
think about him as Professor Orion.
Oh my god, when she calls his name later, when everything's going down, she's like, Lance! I was like, girl, you can't fucking say that out here.
Great. I loved it.
Okay, anyways, back to Orion bullying Seth.
Yeah. So he offers,
Which he deserved.
he offers Seth the same choice that he offered Max. Either, get out and fix your shit, or if you're going to stay in, you got to do better. And Darius confesses about Milton. And Orion's like, okay, I understand why you're angry, but you gotta leave that shit off the field.
Classic coach kind of pep talk.
Yeah. The whole head in the game, work through the pain.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of goofy though.
Yeah. And the crowd starts chanting, you can't scare the heirs. The heirs don't care.
Oh my
Also
God,
goofy.
the chance.
I thought they were goofy as fuck.
But I love that Orion's like, I've never seen the heirs so rattled before. So go Darcy and Tori.
Hey, they're doing their job. They're doing what they came to do.
All right.
How is it that you've got just people that will break each other's backs, right? Like that's the game.
Yeah.
And that's the best you can do with a chant? Are you kidding me?
I felt the same way. I was like, wow.
This is a kindergarten class? Like, yeah.
The heirs don't care. That's it?
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
How about the heirs will break your fucking back?
So Zodiac Academy is 18 points down at halftime. There are now 4 Pegasus sex dolls floating above the Starlight crowd.
They just keep reproducing.
1 for each heir. And Darius thinks to himself that, he's never experienced this kind of abuse before. And he does realize that he's treated other people that way. And of course thinks of the Vega twins.
Interesting.
But he doesn't think it's the same. He had to do that. It was for the good of Solaria. I think he's bullshitting himself.
I think he's making excuses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, like my actions were totally okay, but whoever's doing this, they need to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's definitely making excuses for himself. He doesn't want to feel bad for how he handled the situation with Tori, especially now that he kind of has feelings for her. So he's probably feeling really shitty about that, actually, and doesn't want to confront it.
I was a little disappointed. When that came up in the story, I felt like, okay, here's a moment that he might have recognized what they did. And then it was like, nope, moment gone,
Poor Darius and his feelings. So the twins don't look pleased whenever Caleb and Darius approach. Caleb needs a top up on his power. And Darius is like, I just wish that they would flinch to show our parents that they're scared of us. And Darcy looks at him in disdain and it makes him angry. And he's like, who the hell did these girls think they are? And I'm like, they're royalty, bitch.
Yep.
That's who they are. Like, who do you think you are?
But let's be honest, he wouldn't respect them if they weren't acting like that either. So it's
True.
like, what the fuck do you want from them?
Absolutely. Right. Quentin, the Starlight Captain's there, but as soon as Darius and Caleb comes, he runs off. And then Tori's wearing a pitball shirt that makes Darius have some thoughts about them in bed.
I thought he threw Quentin or something.
Not until the second half begins.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, the thing with Quentin is later, but actually, this part of the book, this is so small, but when the twins are getting ready for the pitball match, it describes their outfits, and I swear I thought Darcy was the one wearing the shirt dress. And then we get here, and it was Tori, I thought, because he's touching her, and his hand is on her thigh, and Darius thinking about how good she looks in the oversized shirt, and thinking about it being like his shirt, or whatever. I swear to God, they switched them.
Darcy is the one that's describing the outfits in the beginning.
Ah, so I probably had the POV backwards.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But she does say that she's wearing her pitball jacket and a cute jeans and shirt.
I could have had it backwards, so that makes sense.
Yeah. But I just think it's interesting that Darius is having some sexy time thoughts about her.
He's so jealous of Caleb ever
He
since
is.
he caught them.
Okay, so Tori looks at Caleb with less hatred, and he's like, I just want to rip his arm off of her. Now, see, that kind of violence may be hot.
Yeah, because it's for a good reason, right?
Touch her and die.
No.
Chrissy's like, you guys have issues.
But yeah, and he does note here that Tori doesn't even have the decency to look horrified anymore.
Right.
About being bitten.
Mm-hmm. She just kind of like moves her hair to the side. She's like, all right, anyways, do what you gotta do.
There you go.
Felt like that was a little bit for the council too, though. She didn't want to seem like she was afraid at all. It was kind of a show for them too, to be like, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could get that.
All right, so the buzzer goes off, the next half begins, and Darius and the other heirs try to do better, but the other team just keeps scoring and scoring.
Yeah, they're losing.
Yeah, Darius struggles with the possibility that they might actually lose a game for the first time. It's never occurred to him that he could possibly lose a game.
That shocks me. Like, y'all haven't lost one game? Like, you've never had an off day?
Yeah, like, and then granted, only 4 of the players are the heirs. What about everybody else? There's 10 players on the team, 4 of them are the heirs, and you expect everybody to be perfect the way you are.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
See, I couldn't tell if it was that they'd never lost a game or they'd never lost a game to this team, because it sounded like this team should have been an easy win.
This team is the bottom of the rankings, so they should have won this game.
Right.
But I always thought of it as the heirs themselves, because I know Zodiac has lost a game, but the heirs themselves, I don't think that they've
never. Okay, that makes more sense.
I can see that.
As the match comes to a close, the Zodiac team has evened the score a little bit. It's still 5-10. They're still losing. It's the final round. The team huddle up, and Sophia's like, it's about to get brutal. So literally the only way to win is that they either have the other team drop the ball or they have to take out 5 players on that team.
Which is insane.
Yeah, and pit the ball themselves. So literally Darius, Max, and Seth all take out somebody. Only one of those people walk off the field. Another one goes down by Geraldine. Caleb's got the ball, keeping it away from the other team. The pit keepers for the Starlight Academy team abandon the pit, and they finally take down somebody else. It's even. It's 5-5, and Caleb's about to score, and he gets knocked out by their air sentry, and they lose 5-6.
Do you think that's going to hit Caleb later? Key cost the game?
It might.
I wish I could see your face right now.
Well, I mean, it would happen next book. And
thoughts on this, Christy?
I know, I'm kind of looking at her face. I'm trying to determine. There's really not much there. She doesn't look too sneaky.
I'll be honest, if it does happen, I don't remember it.
I feel like he wouldn't care. I don't think he's all that invested, especially after what happened.
In Pitfall?
Losing the game, because honestly, half the players that lose the game are now dead, so.
Shit.
Only one team member.
Well, I'm sorry, that won the game are dead.
Well, we don't know if it's the team members or not who died.
For the other team?
Because
they were nymph jerky.
They have their school there as well.
Nymph jerky. What did the other team do to you?
No, I like the other team, but,
there are bodies.
There's lots of bodies.
All right.
It's like a supernatural episode.
Damn.
Oh, man.
Supernatural.
Yes, they lose by a point, and Orion kicks his chair, and he's like, fuck, god damn it. I can just see it in my brain.
He breaks his chair, and then Darius is over in the corner having a tantrum, which of course makes Tori okay, but then she feels guilty about Geraldine.
Yeah.
Orion. So he kicks his chair and breaks. He's a vampire, so he can barely tow his chair and break it. So, if he kicked it and the wood went through the heart of another vampire and killed him, okay, then maybe.
You're like, that wasn't extreme enough.
I'd be like, wow, he's pissed.
Well,
just expectations.
Unlike other vampires, they can be killed in any way a person can be killed. So it doesn't have to be wood to the heart.
Well, I mean, wood to the nuts, but still.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so the Celestial Council and their spouses leave, and Nova forces the girls onto the field to present awards despite their protest.
Which I thought was pretty fucked of her. Are you serious?
Yeah. Why would you do that? Why? You didn't even ask. You didn't even hint that this would happen.
And they lost, so it's like now they're giving their medals to the opposite team, which makes it even worse.
Yeah, and Nova has this, I guess, running gag where she's like, oh, did I not mention? And I just want to slap her every time she says it.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm misreading this or reading way too much into it. I kind of feel like the way Nova treats them is like a bit of a pimp. I take it almost in a sexual way, like she is selling them out for stuff in a way. And it's not like she's like, oh, I'm so proud of you, let me do this. But it's, I don't know.
Using them to make her own status better?
Possibly, or to just do things that are degrading that she thinks they're degrading. The girls actually had fun with it, but she thinks that it's going to be degrading. I don't know. I just take it in that way that
It was my thought that this was planned before the match. So she fully expected to win. Yeah. So I don't know if she did it to degrade them.
I had the same feeling. I feel like she wants to use them, but it's not always for nefarious reasons. She doesn't really respect them enough to take their feelings into the consideration. So,
well, yeah, because if they had won, then they would have been presenting the heirs who have treated them horribly, which she knows about. And yet, I don't know.
That's a good point.
I feel like she's a little punt.
I feel like she's just
Yeah.
stupid.
That
I
too.
almost feel like she just doesn't think things through. She just doesn't care.
Yeah.
She's a wishy-washy person. Whoever's got the power, that's whose side she's on.
Yeah. That's my opinion of her.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right. So Geraldine is pronounced player of the match.
Yay, Team Jerry.
Jerry, I was thinking of you during this, Christy.
Yeah, and I love that the girls are finally like, oh, good, we can finally smile now. Because they're like, we can't appear too happy that the team won.
Yeah, and I think it's good to see Geraldine get a little kudos. So they wanted to cheer her on. And Geraldine does deserve a little fanfare. She did a lot of work.
Oh, I forgot the part when Caleb and Darius are there, and the girls were like, maybe Geraldine should be captain. And Orion's like, maybe she should.
Oh, yeah. Darius is like, shut the fuck up. He was like, all right, even if you think that, can you not say it aloud?
Yeah.
Ryan was my fave in this section of the book. He was just making me laugh. I'm sorry.
No, he's good. It's good. He cares too much about Pitball to play favorite.
Yeah.
So then the Starlight team is announced as the winners of the match, and Tori and Darcy are given medals and flowers to hand out, and all the team comes and hugs them, and Quentin gets a little handsy.
Okay, I want to know about Quentin. Who is Quentin? What is he? Is he a... What's his order? What's he like? I was like, you're getting a little brave.
He is. And invites them to party with the Starlight team. And then Darius steps in and is like, do you want to lose all your teeth?
Yeah.
Is he in the rest of the book? Is he featured in the rest of the book, not just a passing?
So far, he has not shown up.
What a shame.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
like that he angers Darius.
But yeah, and then he's taunting the heirs because they're right there. And he's like, you know, it'd be a shame to have some idiots as our kings. You should reconsider taking the crown. And granted, I know she's joking here, but I feel like it's poking the bear. But Tori's like, maybe we should.
Yeah, but that was the 4 heirs being dumb enough.
Yeah.
They should have let it go.
Yeah, they should
I
have.
agree.
I agree. So they become all enraged. Darius gets into Tori's face. Seth gets into Darcy's. And Darcy grabs Tori's hand and they power share for the first time.
So cool.
Yeah. Tori says a warrior was awakened in her and they...
I knocked the fleas off Seth.
I have a rant real quick.
Yes, I'd love to hear your rant.
Okay, so they say, are you saying you want to try for your claim after all? And Tori counters, it's not our claim. And Darcy says, it's our birthright. Thank you. Thank you. Like the whole time the heirs have been sitting here going, it's our birthright. No, it's not. No, you were not born with this right to rule. The twins weren't even born when they were born. So that means the king and queen were still alive, which means they were not born with the right to rule. It just irritates me that they keep on insisting that the twins are trying to take their birthright, when in actuality, the heirs are trying to take the twins' birthright. And I cannot get past it. Every time it comes up, I rage. Every time.
Well, I think it's kind of realistic to how it actually happens in real life when people try to claim the throne.
Yeah, especially if you're dealing with a female versus male type setup.
But I'm just like, how dare you say that it's your birthright? You're not even royal. You have a right to be on the council. That's your birthright.
Yeah.
Not to be king. All right. Rant over.
Okay, I'm sorry. I need to be your hype girl. You're so fucking right, Brittany. You're so fucking right.
Alright, so the twins accidentally combine all 4 elements together and throw the heirs across the field. Stadium goes silent, and then it's a one-on-one fight between Darius and Tori and Seth and Darcy.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised that Max and Caleb stepped back, but I guess it makes sense because it has to be a one-on-one fight. I don't know. I was surprised that it turned into a full-fledged fight because I felt like obviously the twins are not claiming anything fully. I don't know. They've had this conversation in the past and it didn't turn into a fight, so I just thought that was surprising.
Yeah, and the fact that they all know that the girls don't have any combat magic, it's not a fair fight at all.
Yeah.
And if I saw somebody bigger picking on somebody smaller, I would think less of the bigger person because you're picking on these weaker individuals because you're afraid.
I felt like it was the writers reaching.
It says more about them than it does the twins.
Yeah, I wonder if they were just trying to find a way to set up what happens next.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like they were trying to find a way to set up where the twins showed their power, but they could have done that when the nymphs attacked without the other. And then the heirs could have been like, oh shit, maybe they are going to go after their throne. Look how powerful they are. So I felt like that was so...
They also had to get them in the pit.
I mean, yeah, they could have gone another way, but I felt forced.
A little bit.
Like it was just a really odd, I don't know.
So Darius and Seth managed to fight the girls and push them into the pit. The stadium erupts into cheers and laughter. We get the heirs don't care again.
Dumb.
Yeah. And Darius and Seth cast a magical barrier over the pit, trapping them in there and saying that if you want to get out, since you're so powerful, you'll have to fight your way out. Fucking Max spits at them.
Okay, that was rude as fuck.
I know, right?
Now are you upset about the poo?
Yeah, that spit enraged me.
Very disrespectful.
The girls can't get out, and here's what confuses me. This whole book, Darius and Orion have been following the girls around,
Yeah.
making sure that the nymphs don't get them. And yet they leave them in this pit where the nymphs can get them and they can't run. How does that make any sense?
Is this a theme for every end of the book where they put them in something and hold them down?
Yeah, it is a repeating pattern now.
Yeah, okay.
Brittany's like, it might happen again.
She looks a little stonewalled.
Yeah. All right.
God, I hope not.
They hear screams in the distance. They try to get out. The nymphs come, take the barrier away, and then they're in the fight for their lives. All the exits are blocked by nymphs.
So let's talk about the fact that there's nymphs there in general. Where the fuck did they come from? Why all of a sudden now? For what reason? Who called them? Who let them in? It feels so random. Even though the rest of the book we see glimpses of them, I just felt, I don't know, it just seems really weird timing.
There's supposed to be a magical barrier around the school to keep the nymphs out, so somebody had to let them in.
I feel like Lionel is calling them and controlling them.
Yeah, I got a weird feeling about him leaving early. I was just like...
Because... remember was it at the party with Darius and Orion where they're talking about the shadows and he's telling Darius he's going to teach him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like the dad also controls the shadows or whatever it's called. So I feel like he uses that to control somehow, to either control the nymphs or something. And then that's why Darius is trying to learn how to best them. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I think Lionel has, because they left conveniently at the perfect time.
They did. They left right on time.
They left right before it became an issue. It seems kind of weird and illogical. I don't know, the way that the end of the book happens with the nymphs. Although I will say that it's a fun way to get all of them involved and for us to see some action. And I did enjoy this part of the book. I just thought it was weird that the nymphs showed up out of nowhere.
I mean, we talked about somebody having to let them in. So maybe they snuck away and they let him in while everybody was distracted.
Yeah, which, speaking of, where the fuck is Diego? No, I'm just kidding.
Diego was in the stands with Tori and Darcy, though Tori and Darcy were brought onto the field, so we lose sight of them there.
But then he's with Sophia.
I love that whenever the girls get out and they see that, you know, all the nymphs are there and Darcy starts panicking and she's like, no more academy, no more heirs or dreams or thrones, no more Lance Orion.
No more Lance Orion.
That's her, like...
That's the worst thing she can think of.
That is. No more Lance.
Oh, God.
Lance!
What was me? Anyways.
And, yeah. So here, Darius comes to save them and some other students by blasting them with fire from his dragon. The Pegasus are shifting and taking to the skies. Sophia's among them. But instead of flying to freedom, they literally blind the nymphs with glitter and smash and kick them in the head.
And Sophia is a part of that.
Yes. The Pegasus are willing to fight. They are here.
Yes. So how did you feel about that, Christy?
Everybody thinks they're so weak.
I mean, I'm definitely...
We're still on the hate train?
No, I mean, there might be a stop coming up on the train.
Okay.
That I can, put a foot out. I'm warming up to her, definitely. So yeah, there's some potential there.
Okay. I see it. Okay, proud of you.
All right, so then Lance is there to help them, and here's where we get some really big hints about their order form. Darcy charges to save him, and a burning energy filled me up with the heat of 1,000,000 stars burrowing into my core. My body felt as though it was about to lift off the ground with the sheer power of it. A rippling sensation raced across my shoulder blades.
Yeah.
Flying!
Yeah, so it seems that way, that they have some kind of wings, but also they don't grow wings or anything, but it's implied that maybe they will.
No. Yeah, but they do start producing this red and blue fire. Now, dragon fire is very specifically described as red and gold, but their fire is red and blue, and it's like a dark red and lightning blue fire.
Sounds so cool.
It does.
I mean,
All right.
so unfortunately all three of us know, but maybe the listeners did not know what their order forms are. So we're not going to give any spoilers, but if anyone wants to email us or contact us and give us their guesses, then that could be fun, I think. So for anyone listening, feel free to email us at the Midnight Readers Podcast at Gmail, or you can contact us on social media.
So the pitball stadium is falling apart while this whole fight is happening, and a big giant metal piece falls from the sky straight at Orion and Darcy, and Tori, of course, has been separated. So Darcy immediately puts up an air shield, and Orion instantly power shares with her too. And we learned with Darius, you have to have trust in order to power share, and it didn't even take thought. They just instantly did it.
I just ship them so hard in this book. I love them together. I can't even imagine anyone else being an option.
Yeah. She has the fire come out of her in the shape of wings. All right, so Tori is also away fighting, and she sees Angelica fighting in the sky. She's this red dragon. Marguerite and Kylie are bolting for the exit, of course, as per usual.
Of course.
And then she hears a pain-laced roar and turns to Darius. 8 nymphs are charging him. He's destroyed 4 of them, but he's kind of getting in a tight spot.
This whole chapter or scene kind of reminds me of like the last battle at Hogwarts a little bit. I don't know. I know that I compare it a lot to Harry Potter, but it just reminds me so much of it.
Supposed to be.
Reminiscent, at least.
Oh yeah. I love that Geraldine is literally running around this field like a dog with a toy.
Yeah. I love that Geraldine's involved. Or like a bunch of people are involved in the fight. It makes it so much more interesting.
A high-pitched scream drew Tori's attention to Diego, who was being attacked by a nymph. He had blood on his cheek, and Sophia was diving for him in the air, and she lands and changes back into a fae. I don't understand why she does this, but it does point out the nymphs are also attacking Diego, so if he's the one that let him in, he's dumb.
Yeah, I don't know if he's the one letting them in. I just know there's something weird going on with him. But if he is the one letting them in, it wouldn't shock me. What if he's the Wormtail? You know what I mean? He's still gonna get fucking hit from all sides. He's still gonna get hurt, but that doesn't mean that he's not doing nefarious things in the background. But the whole thing with Diego better be solved soon, because I need answers.
So...
Oh no. Ugh, I'm gonna pretend he doesn't exist until then. Okay, Sophia goes to help him, and then she turns back into a fae, and then Tori runs over to help, and then Tori's like, change back right now.
Yeah, she accidentally coerces her.
Which I thought was pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, and Sophia's shocked. She's like, I thought I was teaching you that.
Yeah, she was like, Tori, hello, is that you?
And of course, Diego's like, come with us, chica.
Fucking hell.
But she tells him to go. She isn't leaving Darcy.
I just hate that. You should come too, chica. You know, like... No, chica, you can't stay, man. That's so...
Oh God, you sound just like him.
I just can't. He's such a caricature of a Spanish person. Mostly, probably like a Mexican caricature, if anything. It's just so fucked up. Anyway.
Yes. All right. So a nymph gets on Darius's back, and he starts probing Darius. And Tori goes for him, and Tori and Darius have this moment where he's like, go. He's nudging her with his nose to leave, and she's like, so fucking bossy.
She's like, stop trying to play the hero.
She's like, of course you would choose to die rather than let me help you.
Yeah, and she feels his pain in that moment, and she's like, just let me fucking do this. Don't be like that.
So she climbs on top of him and manages to stay on, even though she's being attacked by this nymph. It tries to probe her, and she punches it in the face.
Stop laughing at probe. Oh my gosh.
She punches a tree, which is what these things basically are, in the face.
A tree?
Their nymph form is a tree, basically.
Wait, are we supposed to know that?
Yeah.
I don't even remember that.
Kind of sad, though.
It describes them, yeah.
I don't want to punch a tree.
Oh my goodness. Just imagine her punching a tree. It's like, stay back, Carol.
Yeah.
Like, just... It
So
sounds
that hurts
It's like
her.
a tiny ant.
Oh my god, it is.
And then she uses the red and blue flames to actually destroy the nymphs. More nymphs are coming at Darius, but he uses the last of his energy to blast them with dragon fire. And then, with her still on top of him, he transforms back into his Fae form. He's lying deathly still. He's bleeding from multiple places. His breathing is shallow. And she feels like this is a very important moment. And I quote, like, we were hanging between two great points and everything could change on the turn of a coin.
Yeah, what a thing to say. After she says this, that she feels like everything could change in that moment, she power shares with him, and then he starts to heal a little bit.
Not heal. She just says that the tension eases out of him. She tries to heal him and nothing happens.
Oh, yeah.
She specifically says his heart is still slowing down, his power is flicking out, but just having her power share with him makes the tension in his body. Maybe he feels safe with her.
So is it set up for Orion that he's the only one that can heal Darius? Like, once you got that bond, so anybody can.
No, anybody can heal. They just don't know how to
Okay.
heal yet. They haven't learned how. And Tori literally says that she doesn't know if she can bear losing him. Like, you sure about that? You hate him. And now you're like, I don't know if I could lose him.
It kind of pisses me off because he gets the care from her that she deserved when she almost drowned.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Orion comes and saves them and obviously shows a level of care that they don't show, but it just really hurts in a way. Or it's not, I don't think it hurts. It's just really unfair that he's dying or he's feeling this pain and she brings him comfort. And so I hope that after this, he fucking sees something in that and is like, wow, I was a complete asshole.
All right. So Darcy and Orion are basically fighting back to back. Seth comes and pushes her over for some reason. Not really. I think he pushes her out of the way as he dove for a nymph. His fur is coated in black blood because the nymphs have black blood.
Interesting.
And then Orion feels Darius's pain, and they start battling their way towards him. Geraldine is still pouncing around everywhere, chasing her toys,
Having a good time.
and Darcy trips over Ashanti's body.
I was surprised that Ashanti died.
Yeah, so we have at least one confirmed death on Zodiac's an identity for the body.
And this death, it brings something out of her because she's like, this is wrong. This is fucked up. These are my people.
Yes.
It brings something out of her that is different.
She goes into this killing frenzy, and soon after, the nymphs start to flee. There are bodies strewn all in the stands. Whether, they're fae or nymph, we don't know. Although we do know because the nymphs dissolve into shadowy dust.
That's weird too.
All the bodies have to be either hurt fae or dead fae.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The nymphs start fleeing because Darcy's going on a rampage and Orion thinks that it's over after that point.
Yeah, so he picks her up, speeds her to Tori and Darius, and Tori begs him to heal him.
You can see this scene out of a movie, I feel.
Yeah, and Darius slowly starts to heal, but Orion's running out of magic.
And Tori goes to recharge him. She grabs his hand.
Yeah, she's like, take mine, even though I'm somebody else's source. Take mine.
Yeah. I think in that situation, it's okay. I mean...
Yeah, I think so too. So Darius wakes up and he's immediately looking at Tori and he goes to say something, but he stops. And quite frankly, I want to know what he was going to say.
I know, right? Like, what happens there?
Yeah, and Darcy says that she feels like the moment is private and it's really uncomfortable for her. And yeah,
Maybe it was uncomfortable, but in this moment, she needs to suck it up and just leave them alone for a sec.
So Orion pronounces Darius as good as new, and Tori goes back into bitch mode, snatches her hand away, and pretends like she had no feelings for Darius whatsoever.
Oh yeah, which is silly after what they just went through.
Yeah, she even turns her back on him.
Interesting.
Tori and Darcy both are like, I had this strange red-blue fire, and they're like, me too! And Orion has no idea what it's from.
But he knows it was like, you've obviously shown your worth.
Yeah, this is with Darius. He's like, you just proved your worth. And for the first time, he looks at the twins as if they are a true threat.
Yeah. And Orion's smiling at Darcy when she's fighting and stuff, like impressed in a way.
Yeah. And Darcy's like, why did they attack? And Orion's like, well, they just attacked the children of the most elite Fae in Solaria. So clearly they just declared war.
On our kind.
Yeah, that's how the book ends.
Which is really crap, because that means if they attack the children of the lowest Fae, no war.
Well, I guess so.
I mean, supposedly there are FIB teams out there who are hunting down nymphs who attack elsewhere. I think what he means by this is it's like attacking the president's children by another country.
I definitely get it that they attack the heirs, but just the way that he said it, it was like, I mean, it really does set up though for the Fae, because that really is, again, how they are. It's definitely more of a sense of, and I guess really humans are that way too, but you know, we pretend not to be, but it's kind of this like clawing your way to the top and everybody's expendable kind of thing. And so,
the more powerful you are, the more important you are.
Yeah, basically. So literally attacking a game is considered war for the whole Fae kind.
Well, it's not the game. They didn't care about
Well, they didn't care about the game, but they attacked a game. But
they attacked the children. That's the more important part, is that they went to the school, they were supposed to be protected, and yet the nymphs attacked there.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if it's just that, like, I think Orion is reacting to what's going on, so he's saying it doesn't even matter at this point because who they attacked. At this point, because it's such a big event to have happened, and the amount of people that died, and the fact that the heirs are involved, even if the nymphs did not intend to declare war, that's what they did, is what he's saying. You know what I mean? He's like, it doesn't even matter if they are trying to start shit, they did. And so we're going to have to retaliate somehow.
Oh yeah, I agree. When I first heard about 9/11, my first thought was, oh my God, we're at war. And that was just, you know, an attack on New York.
Yeah.
And as an 8th grader, that was my, oh my God, we're going to war.
I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, I was terrified.
I was like 4. I had no idea. I was like, oh, weird. They keep playing this on the TV. This is kind of like a setup for the next book or the next books, multiple, because we were kind of wondering what is the plot. And the plot is still very loosey-goosey, but now we have a little bit more, the stakes have been raised a little bit.
What did y'all think about the book as a whole?
I liked it better, I think, than the first book.
Me too.
I liked it. The character development was a little bit better. I think the story was a little bit better. I mean, there were definitely points that were kind of like with the newspaper thing that were so silly. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed it, and I like where it set us up for at the end.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I liked the characters a little bit more. I felt more invested. I definitely want to read more of it now, so I think it was good. I'm excited for the next book.
Any predictions for the next book? We've learned that the lunar eclipse is coming. The reckoning is coming.
Oh, yeah.
What do y'all think might happen?
I think there's probably going to be another attack. I still think Lionel has something to do with it.
That's a good prediction, that he's gonna summon something. Ooh, it's like a cult. He's gonna summon something like demonic, like the nymphs. I don't know.
Create nymphs? Could he
No,
create?
that is a good question.
I know, because he was supposed to do something with Orion's sister. It didn't work, and he just killed her.
Yeah.
I'm assuming he killed her. I guess he could have sent her somewhere or done something weird with her, but
It sounded like it was some kind of ritual with her that went wrong, and maybe she died on accident, I thought.
yeah, but she was supposed to become something or do something, or
Yeah.
so can you become a nymph? Can you answer that or no? Is that gonna that's gonna ruin it? Never mind. Yes, you can become a nymph, apparently.
Uh-oh.
I'm just enjoying your theories.
So to me, that means if you can make a nymph, then you can make an army, right?
Yeah.
At least in theory. So if Lionel's trying to make nymphs, maybe he's trying to make an army that he can control.
Though if Christy's theory is correct and Lionel's already controlling the existing nymphs, then he's got an army.
But right now he's practicing. He doesn't have full control. Maybe he can't use them to the point that nobody can challenge him.
Or maybe they're the base nymph versions. And
They're
they
the
have to
base
be-
model.
Yeah. They have to be upgraded like the Uruk-hai in Lord of the Rings. They have to become not just orcs, but the Uruk-hai. Yeah. So we need next level nymphs for the next book,
Next level nymphs.
There we go. We've got it figured out. We're done. We don't even have to read it.
See, this is why you guys have me here. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I guess that wraps up book 2 of the Zodiac Academy series, Ruthless Fae. We hope you've enjoyed the show, and next episode we're going to be discussing book 3, The Reckoning, chapters 1 through 13. The next episode will drop Tuesday at midnight, and we'll see you then.
Please remember to like, subscribe, and follow us on social media. That like and follow are super important for us to be able to continue to bring you new episodes each week. So please, please, please do so. Thank you for listening to the Midnight Readers podcast. We'll see you next week.
Happy reading, listeners. Don't stay up too late.